on Sunday, man? I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Welcome to 2025. It's the Buccateers here in the year of 2025. Wow, that still feels weird to say. Hope everybody had a great new year and is continuing to have a great holiday season. I'm Tampa Tones, sported the new Bucs hat from a great buddy of mine, Ryu Kendrick, the wrestler, a.k.a. Big Dog Myron Chapman got me this, so appreciate him greatly. We got a lot to talk about today, J-Lo. Our Bucs could clinch. Bowl mania is in full swing. College football playoffs. My, oh my friend, my brother. A lot to chat about. How the hell are you? Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Yo. Happy New Year, Tones. Oh, man, what a great weekend we have upon us, man. Let's get a chance to clinch the division for the fourth straight time, fifth straight playoff appearance, which I think's never been done in franchise history. I mean, so many great things. And then plus your Nittany Lions, man, making to the next round. I know you were one happy, fella the other night.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting round 3 semifinal as them and Notre Dame square off. I think it's going to be a great 4 teams left. BB King says how sweet it will be to dominate the Saints to win our 4th straight division title with Mike getting another 1,000 yards. J-Lo, if Penn State makes a championship, if Bucs make the playoffs, I'm going to be on top of the goddamn world, brother.
Oh, as you should, man. I mean, as a fan of both teams, it's just an amazing time right now to be a fan of the Nittany Lions, the Bucs, and of course the other, teams, in the playoffs. But for the most part, man, I'm excited. I can't wait. Sunday fun day.
Yeah, I cannot wait as well. Going to be a fun day on Sunday. We hope, we think, maybe we know. So we'll see how that rolls out, Mr. J-Lo. Got a lot to talk about today, especially about our Bucs. As Richard says, happy fucking New Year, fellas. Happy New Year to you, Rich. I hope you're having a great 2025, although it's been short. I hope it's been sweet so far, my friend, from the Buccateers to you. J-Lo, Bucs winning in, or the Falcons lose and they're in, not depending on that, but given both situations at hand, J-Lo, how confident are you that the Bucs will get this done and make their way into the 2024 postseason?
I mean, there's really no excuses at this point. If you can't beat, a beat-up, bad Saints football team, then to me, you don't deserve to get in. But I do think they take care of business. I think Mike will get his 1,000 yards. I think Baker's going to go off, definitely pick apart that Saints defense, for the most part. I just don't see us losing this game at all. And I even think the Panthers are going to upset Atlanta in their house. So
I think that could happen, especially nothing against Penix, but you could tell he's a rookie, little wobbly on some throws, J-Lo, and that goes back to them not playing him a damn snap in preseason. To me, Raheem Morris has had a brutal coaching year this far, Mr. J-Lo.
No, agreed. I mean, if you weren't so sold on Kirk Cousins, even though he deserved to get benched, but you should have gave the rookie some reps during the preseason. He's kind of doing it from scratch. I mean, he's playing okay, but he's not playing at the level you need to get into the playoffs and make a run. Because there's no way Atlanta's going to survive the first round. That's just my opinion. But I think we get in at the end of the day. I just don't think Atlanta's ready right now for the big stage.
I don't think so either, as the comments are poured in. Olivia says, hey, fellas, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you as well, Olive. Hope you're having a great Friday. Richard brings up another scenario, or a Falcons tie, Bucs clinch. Very true as well. So 3 things get the Bucs in: a Falcons tie, a Falcons loss, or simply a Bucs win. Let's have the Bucs win, and then, whatever the hell happens. Ernie said Bucky running all over the Saints. Richard said, will Baker break Brady's franchise record of 43 passing touchdowns? We'll leave that one up to you, J-Lo. Yay or nay?
Oof, tough one. He's at 39 right now, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 4 tutties. I mean, it's possible. But my thing is this. I mean, the Bucs got a heavy lead going into the third quarter. I could see them pulling a lot of their starters out, like a Baker Mayfield. But it all depends. I mean, he could, honestly. But the way they play against the Panthers, I feel they're going to do the exact same thing to the Saints. Just blow them out of the water.
Yeah, and we do have to give our thoughts and prayers to the area of New Orleans and all those affected by the terrible car terrorist attack this past New Year's Eve. And J-Lo, I thought it was an interesting point. Some fan, because some people are saying, hey, this might motivate the Saints. No, it's different when it's a hurricane impacting Tampa, because that impacts Tampa. But a terrorism attack, no matter what city it's in, motivates the whole United States. I think not only the Saints, but the Bucs will be motivated to win for those lives lost as well.
Yeah, it was very tragic. Prayers go out to loved ones that lost, their lives. It's just unbelievable how cruel this world can be and how life
I
is
was
right
just
now.
there in October before the Bucs and Saints game, walking up and down that same street, Mr. J, though.
Yeah, and plus the Super Bowl is going to be in New Orleans, this year. So
I
it's
know
going.
that firsthand, because I could not bring mini helmets into the Saints stadium because of Super Bowl crackdown.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. New Orleans is just, not the best city at times. I'm not saying it's the worst city, but definitely not a city where you want to live in, because, stuff like that happens, unfortunately. The security is not enough. Not TP, I'm sorry. The police aren't going to be there on time to save. I mean, it's just unbelievable how that happened, especially before the Sugar Bowl. And it just makes me wonder if the Super Bowl is even going to be more prepared on security reasons to protect, people from craziness like that.
And like you said, it's sad to talk about, sad to say. Our thoughts and prayers here on the Buccateers on behalf of J-Lo, me, Gene, Joey, and everybody else do go out to the city of New Orleans. J-Lo, injury report for the Bucs. Head coach Todd Bowles did rule out a couple of cats today, including Winfield Jr., Jamel Dean, and left the status of K-Dot and Will Golston and others as a coin flip. Thoughts on the Bucs injury report being down Winfield and Dean? I mean, Saints are obviously missing Carr. Kamara's doubtful. They might hold out Olave still, even though he's ready to roll. Thoughts on the Bucs side of the injury report? We'll get more into that depth in it here in a bit.
I mean, Dean, it was obvious he was not going to play after him getting injured. Hopefully he'll be ready to go for the wild card playoff game. Winfield Jr., he's slowly coming on. He's starting to practice again. And my best guess is they don't want to take any chances of forcing him to play too soon. And plus, you know what? Whitehead and Edwards, they need the reps because they need to wake up. Because let me tell you, the pass coverage wasn't as great until they tighten up in the second half. So I think those two need to get more reps and get ready for the playoffs and let Winfield get ready and rest and be ready for next week.
Yeah, again, as I stated earlier to you in our group chat, if the Bucs can't win without these guys against a very banged up Saints team, they probably don't get, they probably don't deserve to get in anyways. So although I'd like to see these guys out there, if they're not 100%, let them rest and try and get them back for the playoffs if and when you do make the playoffs. J-Lo, some other news on the injury report. Devin Culp ended up practicing in full. He was a little bit banged up earlier in the week. Now it seems like he's practicing in full. That'll be key because the Bucs injuries to the tight end room especially have been a little hazy given K-Dot and status and whatnot. But K-Dot and doubtful, but he might play. Will Golston questionable. Talked about him. Sterling Shepard questionable. But besides Shepard and Golston questionable, and doubtful in the 2 outs, J-Lo, looks pretty good for the Bucs.
I mean, the injury list is looking like it's lowering down a little bit. K-Dot is banged up, obviously. And you know what? Rest him fine. I mean, I'm totally fine with Payne Durham and Devin Culp. Put those youngsters in there, give them some reps. I mean, our tight end room is very underrated, and I think we talked about it, during the game last week, that this tight end room is just so underrated, and we gotta be thankful for Jason Light putting together a pretty depth roster.
Yeah, Christopher Cole's joining us. Betty says, hey, how we doing, Betty? Welcome into the Buccateers. We appreciate you. Christopher said Hayes played a little better than Dean. I wouldn't go that far. Jamel Dean doesn't let up a lot, but when he does, it looks ugly. But, they don't throw his way a ton. So, I do like Joshua Hayes, relative of the late, great Geno Hayes as well. But let's respect Jamel Dean at least a little bit. Derek Carr is out. Kendre Miller is out. Alvin Kamara is doubtful. Then you got Peyton Turner is questionable. Pete Warner questionable. Juwan Johnson questionable. Chris Olave and Willie Gay Jr. questionable on the Saints side of things. J-Lo, thoughts on their injury report? It looks a little bit more like a laundry list than that of the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints pretty much packed up shop a long time ago. I mean, it doesn't surprise me with the injuries. Derek Carr's injury prone, obviously. He can't stay healthy. Kamara is not the Kamara we once knew, back in the day when he torched us. It's looking like, the Bucs should have no excuses on, beating a wounded team like the Saints. And it wouldn't surprise me if Olave doesn't play either, because why risk it? Why risk his health?
He's one concussion away from being on the shelf for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. How about Cam Jordan? Is he playing, that clown?
Yep, he'll be loud-mouthed, and that's the thing. That is the one reason, J-Lo, I don't think we could overlook this game, because at the end of the day, it's a rivalry game, and you can never overlook rivalries. When guys like Cam Jordan are on the other side and they literally hate you, it's never a gimme, J-Lo, that's for sure. But speaking of gimmies, speaking of will they plays, speaking of injury reports, one guy not on the injury report and one guy who should be a gimme to get his feet wet is Mr. Shaq Barrett, J-Lo. I think Shaq Barrett will at least play on 3rd and longs or pass rush situations. BB King says offense is better with Shepard on the sideline. Yeah, he makes some questionable plays, but he has filled in nicely at times this year. Bucs Nation, happy belated New Year's to you, our guy. We appreciate you, my friend. But J-Lo, Shaq Barrett, thoughts on him not only potentially playing and rushing after Rattler this Sunday, but thoughts on him telling media members that, hey, I'm not just coming out of retirement for this season. I'm in this for many more years to come.
Yeah, it seemed like he needed a rest. I mean, the guy was pretty beat up emotionally after the tragedy a couple of seasons ago. God bless that man and his family. But it's good to have him back, and I think he'll be a 3rd down pass rusher. Maybe you might spare him with some packages. Maybe put him at middle linebacker, have him blitz up the middle. You never know. I mean, there's so many ways you can use Shaq Barrett. I don't expect him to, go off like he did a few years ago, but maybe motivate these youngsters to get out there and play better, because we got to have a pass rush. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. And I think, him having bad, knowing the playbook, knowing what he brings to the table, gives us a good shot to make a run.
Yeah, I agree. It certainly does, my friend. And, I'm adding up our breadwinners here. We went 500 last week and broke even with money. So we're 43 and 33, $134 positivity on the year. But I agree with Shaq. I think you got to get his feet wet, J-Lo, whether it's 5 snaps, 10 snaps, 15 snaps. You got to get his feet wet. I know he's not in 100% game shape, but you're not going to want to throw him in like a wet puppy in the playoffs, although he does have experience. Let him get after Rattler a little bit. And the beautiful thing about a pass rusher is he doesn't have to be in great game shape. You just need him for 10 third and longs or pass rushing situations where you tell him, hey, put your paw in the dirt and get your ass after the quarterback. And Shaq Barrett will provide great rushing reps. And look at last week, J-Lo. Shaq's already paying off as Christopher Cole. Jinx, you owe me a soda, buddy. But look at Yaya Diaby, Anthony Nelson, Kalijah Cansey, Logan Hall, Chris Braswell all had sacks last week, J-Lo. You can't tell me Shaq Barrett's presence wasn't felt by the locker room and his tips and tricks weren't felt at all last week because he really help the Bucs get after the QB, get after Bryce Young.
No, agreed. You can already tell that some of the pass rushers probably felt either some type of way or felt relieved, bringing in a veteran who's won a Super Bowl twice actually, but mostly his experience with the Bucs starting, and plus I'm pretty sure he worked with some of the rookies, probably give them advice saying, hey, this is how you could do it, kind of help prep them against Bryce Young. Now see him in uniform might even make a even more greater difference, and we might see a lot more sets this weekend.
Yeah, I think Shaq's impact will be more internal than anything. That's where we're talking about right now, how he played a huge role last week. And at the same time, he could give you 5 to 15 crucial snaps this week and then maybe a little bit more next week. It's only going to help this Bucs team as they try and make a deep playoff run. Remember, Shaq was an integral part of the 2019, 2020, 2021 roster. He's surely going to be an important part of the Bucs playoff run if and when they make one, which I'm confident they will. J-Lo, I know the Saints are banged up, very banged up, as we talked about, missing some star-studded names, to say the least, like Carr, Kamara, potentially Olave, Pete Warner as well. Who is your Saints player to look out for heading into Week 18? You know they want to ruin the Bucs season. You know they want to play Grinch in the holidays. What say you? Who's your Saints player to look out for in this big one?
I gotta say, Tyrann Mathieu at safety. He's not the same like he once was either, but he's still a pretty good player I would look out for on the coverage. Because they're going to try to ruin Mike Evans', yardage streak. But I know Liam Cohen's going to come up with some stuff to try to other packages to get Mike open. So I say Tyrann Mathieu, who I would look out for.
You know who I'm going with, and not that he's been great even the past decade, but he hates the Bucs so much. Cam Jordan. Watch out for him, J-Lo. You never know. This could be his last game as a Saint as well. Could be his last game in the NFL for all that matters. But J-Lo, who's hated the Bucs more of late than him? You know he'd love to get some redemption, whether it's with success or injuring our guys, probably. Hate to say it like that, but J-Lo and potentially his last Bucs Saints game ever, you got to keep an eye on Cam Jordan, in my opinion.
No, agreed. I mean, you still can't look past the man. Sometimes he does come on when he's.
He had an interception against us the last time we played.
Yeah, I mean, he was a tip ball. He was there at the right time, right place, truthfully. But
true, but you still got to give him credit for coming down with it, being a big boy.
I just hate that guy, but yeah.
I do too. He's a clown.
He's a clown. Just some of his comments through the past are just laughable. He's going to go down with, being a great player in the NFL, but never won a Super Bowl. Never even came close to it, but the NFC Championship game. But also, I want to see Wirfs just pancake him a few times if he has the balls to go over that side instead of going against Gadecki.
Buckin says, I think Rattler could actually have a decent game. I mean, he's kind of fighting for his career backup status, so I'm not going to disagree with you, Buckin. He's hungry out there, and he looks a little bit better by the game. I know they played the Raiders last week, but still looked a little bit better, did Rattler there. Someone on the Saints is going to take a cheap shot at Baker. Richard, I'm sadly feeling that way as well. I think it could be open season. J-Lo, quick thoughts before we get to our Bucs Bet segment.
I will say this, Richard, also to people watching. If the Bucs run the football a little bit more because I believe they can run the ball down the Saints' throats, then it would take less pressure off Baker taking those cheap shots, if you ask me. I feel, and plus Baker gets the ball out pretty quickly at times when he's not holding it too long. But I think we're going to be running the ball a lot on Sunday, whether it's Bucky, Rashad, or even Tucker. That's just my opinion on the cheap shots on Baker.
Oh, I think so. I think Tucker's going to get a great amount of carries, J-Lo. I think this is a perfect game because he's a good back, a competent back, and he had his biggest game of the year against the Saints where it led him to NFC Offensive Player of the Week. So, J-Lo, now we're going to get into our Bucs bets here before score predictions and whatnot. Bucs are a huge money line, minus 910. So, literally $10 would only win you a little bit over $1. Would you take the Bucs money line, 10 to win 1, J-Lo, or you put in $10 on the Bucs at minus 14?
I say money line. I think the Bucs will take care of business and beat the Saints.
And we have Lucky Lucy in the house saying Happy New Year. Emily Campa, hi everyone. I say we cut the BS and kick the Aints asses like we should. We are more than capable of doing it and need to keep a killer attitude and continue winning. Cam, you can kiss my ass. Go Bucks. I agree. Cats, welcome into the program. Happy New Year.
Wow, she set me up well. Happy New Year to you as well. The prop, yes, the Bucks will cover that. And yeah, this is very sad. This could be Cam Jordan's last game as a Saint, and really, it should be his last game ever because I'll risk tempt bait. He's not going to do well riding on Mount Worths and Mount Gadecki. He's a very washed-up player with a big mouth. So this could be his final game. And, I would be sad if I liked him more, but I don't. So I hope it's his last game, and I hope he never makes the Hall of Fame. He's a compiler. That's all he is.
Really hard to like him. And I don't see him I could be a little bit biased. I see him making the Hall of a good player, not the Hall of Fame, right?
Simeon Rice is not in the fucking Hall of Fame. How can they let this clown in? God.
Like to me, he's in the Hall of Good. Not in the Hall of Fame, and there's nothing wrong with that,
That's right. The Hall of Shit Talkers. He's not even a good shit talker. It hasn't been, everything he said has been exactly the opposite.
Oh, God.
Everything he said, he's been wrong on. And he's going to have to watch the Bucs celebrate in front of him for the second time now. So I hope he's happy.
His shit talking has gone downhill just like his play has. He used to have a little pep in his step, but ever since he made those weird Ryan Jensen comments, he lost me a little bit.
Chuck Barrett had more sacks than Cam Jordan last year, for what it's worth. And he only has 4 less than him this year.
Which is hilarious. Hey, maybe he'll tie him after this week.
Maybe. Maybe.
You never know. Next up, fellas, on the docket, over under 43.5 total points combined between the Saints and Bucks. J-Lo, do you think it gets to 44 points?
I think so, yeah. I say yeah. I think the Bucs are going to put a lot of points on the Saints. I say yeah.
Cats?
Yes. Bucks will are going to pile up a ton of points. Yeah, it'll go over.
Richard says Cam is first ballot for Hall of Lame. Pops text into the show. NFL Hall of Fame, no. Saints Ring of Honor, yes. I agree with that. I think he'll be...
Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. He's had a great career, and, I'll give him his credit. But it's like I said, it always bothers me when it comes to defensive ends and pass rushers that when I hear Simeon Rice, who once said, well, it's not the Hall of Fame without me in it. All right, that's a little bit cocky. But you know what? He backed it up all of his career. He's not in there. I don't like seeing guys like Cam Jordan get in, I think Jared Allen got in. And I actually liked him quite a bit. Maybe he's not in. I don't know. Jared Allen's a very deserving Hall of Famer, though, in my opinion, if we're talking about peers, But fucking Cam Jordan, whatever, we'll see.
Jared Allen was very underrated in his playing career. I thought he was a very good player. He even caught some touchdowns in his career.
Yeah.
I think what hurts guys like him and Simeon Rice, and it shouldn't at all, but I think people just view, they hopped on a good bit of teams. Like Simeon Rice was the Cardinals, Bucks, Colts, and then Seahawks to end it, I'm pretty sure. And then a guy
Broncos.
Broncos, you're right. Jared Allen, Panthers, Bears, Chiefs, Vikings, he bounced. It shouldn't be held against you. I think Jared Allen gets in this year, but I agree with you. I think Simeon Rice should certainly be in. Maybe not it's not a Hall of Fame without him in, but he certainly should be
Gotta
in.
love his confidence, though. He never lacked for that. I'll tell you.
I'd rather have my guy thinking he's a Hall of Famer than not a Hall of Famer any day.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Cats, we're going to keep with you here. Bucs over under total points, 28.5. Do you think the Bucs get to 29 points?
Yes. Over.
J-Lo, we're going to go with you.
We're averaging. Aren't we averaging 29 per game? I think we are.
Yep, we're averaging north of 28.5. I think it's like 29.5 or something like that. But
yeah, we'll go over that.
I agree with that. Edwin Hernandez says easy to take Cam out of the game. Yeah, it ain't that hard. He says Bucs 38-14. Baker not making the Pro Bowl is crazy. Knowing the NFL, Cam will just get out of his mouth. J-Lo, touchdown score. You get the big wigs in this one. Mike Evans, $10 to win 7. Bucky Irving, $10 to win 7. Jalen McMillan, 10 to win 13. Or Rashad White, 10 to win 14. J-Lo, where are you putting your money for a Bucs touchdown?
Realistically, all of them. But if I got to pick one, I say Mike Evans. I think Evans is going to go off and get the 1,000 yards, and he'll get a couple tutties.
Cats, you get the medium, Cats, no pun intended, but who would you bet here? 10 on Payne Durham to score a touchdown to win you 26? 10 on Sterling Shepard to get you a touchdown to win you 38? Or 10 on Baker Mayfield running one in to win you 35?
I'm going to go Payne Durham. Payne Durham on that one. I've liked Payne Durham quite a bit, actually, even before he started getting playing time. I mean, he'd had a couple. I remember in the Indy game last year, had an incredible spinning catch. You were at that game. Am I mixing him up with someone else? No, I think it was him.
No, it was
He had a couple. Yeah, he's shown, they used a draft pick on him light in recent years with tight ends after, he picked 2 very high. Neither one of them worked out. He's been picking tight ends later rounds. I like what I'm seeing of Devin Culp. I know it's very early with him, and he's picking well. So I like Payne Durham to get a touchdown.
I like Devin Culp as well. And speaking of Devin Culp, J-Lo, he leads off the kind of long shot odds. Where you put in your $10, J-Lo? 10 on Devin Culp to score, which would win you $48. 10 on Keefe to score to get you 54. His yearly touchdown streak is in jeopardy. Or 10 on Sean Tucker to win you 58.
I say Sean Tucker. I think Sean Tucker is going to get the bulk of the carries toward the end of the game. I think he's got a good shot getting that tutty.
I like that a lot. Then, Cats, you're going to end us with the long shots. Out of these 3, who would you put your money on? $10 on Trey Palmer to score to win you 70. $10 on Rakim Jarrett to score to win you 95. Or $10 on Ryan Miller, who has a couple of touchdowns this year to score to win you 110.
Yeah, I go Rakim Jarrett. He's gotten involved a little bit more recently. So we'll go Rakim Jarrett.
I like that a lot. From receiving to passing, J-Lo, Baker Mayfield over under 251.5 passing yards.
I'd say over. I think he'll definitely get over just by a little bit because I think we're going to run the ball, but I'm also going to see him slinging it too, in the first half especially.
Cats, you get passing touchdowns out of the Bake Show. 1.5 is his number.
I'll go over on that.
I like that as well. And then J-Lo, total interceptions thrown up by the player over under half for Mr. Spencer Rattler, the rookie.
He's going to throw 2 over.
I like that. Cats.
I like that too because we haven't had many interceptions.
No.
Although we did pick him off last time. I know Tyke Smith and McCollum picked him off the last time, so I think we can get him again.
This is our lowest turnover total since Todd Bowles has been a part of the Tampa since 2019. But to his, I shouldn't say credit, but to his excuseness, I guess, a lot of key defenders have been out at points in time. A guy like Winfield, if he plays all 17, you're probably going to get 2 to 3 more picks. If Jamel Dean, although his hands aren't great, if he plays a full season, that might come an interception. So, I see why it's a little low, not giving him excuses. But
We don't have a consistent enough edge rush to get as many turnovers as we'd like. That's
Bingo.
a story for another, for next year. We don't have the edge rush. When we had Shaq Barrett and JPP on your edges, we were almost running a bakery with turnovers, if I recall right.
Yeah.
With the two of them. And, it's tough, though. I mean, edge rushers are the most coveted position. We've drafted a couple, to be decided on Braswell still. Hopefully he pans out. Some other ones have not. That's something that'll be a story for another day because that'll be something they need to attack in the offseason on a team that's really rounding out a heck of a roster. Something's still a work in progress. And I just went off on a tangent. What were you saying?
No, you're good, Katz. I was pretty much agreeing with you on all that stuff, but you get the utmost important bet of the day potentially. Mike Evans over under 102.5 receiving yards. If he gets over, he hits his number. The only problem is, do you think he'll get that much action? Over under 102 on Mike Evans. Katz.
Wow. Yeah, I'm actually going to go over on that. I do think he's going to get it. Actually, he doesn't even have to go over that number to get the record. He only needs 85.5.
Yeah, I think 86 will get him if I'm not mistaken. And Katz, as well as I do, as well as any Bucs fan, he has had seasons where he's had 1,001, 1,003, right over that 1,000-yard mark. Once you're at 1,000, it don't matter if you get 1,000.
Also, he's missed. Look how many games he's missed this year too. So it's making a very impressive feat. He missed 4 games. Did he miss 4, 3, or 4 games? I think he missed 3. I have been 3 games. So
it depends if you count the Ravens game as a miss because he technically missed 3 quarters of that game.
3 quarters, so 3 games plus. Let's say he missed. So
exactly, pretty impressive.
We'd have another win by now. We would have won one of those games if he'd played those. If hadn't missed 3 games, we'd have an extra win right now. But we're going to make that a moot point anyway.
I think I agree. We're going to make it a moot point, but I definitely agree we'd at least have one more win if Mike never got hurt. Speaking of hurt, Joey Nips ain't hurt. He's here joining us on a Friday. Joey, welcome in, and you get the pleasure of Bucky Irvin over under 84.5 rushing yards come Sunday. As Mr. H is speaking about stocks.
Yeah, Bucky Irvin, 84.5. I know. I always hate these Week 18s because even though the Bucs obviously have a must-win, you never know. He's a little banged up. But that dude's a warrior. So you know what? I'm going to take his over because usually most running backs in this position, because the Bucs have a deep backfield, that's where it gets a little tough. But that guy is tough as nails. I mean, I don't think he ever gets tackled by just one fella. So give me the over because I'm just taking toughness over anything else.
J-Lo field goals. Kickers, Chase McLaughlin over under 8.5 points off of his leg.
I say over.
Cats, Bucks over under 1.5 successful field goals made.
1.5. That means we'd have to kick 2. Yeah, I'd go over. And we have 2 last week. Yeah, we had 2 last week. I know we had to settle for 3 twice, which has not been a common occurrence. I still would say 2. I'd go over 1.5. No.
I think you're in the right mind of thinking. Joey, you end the field goal shenanigans with over-under longest field goal in the game, 48.5 yards. For either team.
Yeah, I'll go over. One of the 2 guys. McLaughlin probably, but let's hope they're just scoring touchdowns. But we'll go over.
Yeah, Group got shut out a couple weeks ago on that Monday night game against the Packers. But he does have a strong leg, but I'd put my money on McLaughlin if it comes in. We end with a couple of defenders. J-Lo, we start with you. Levante David over under 7.5 total tackles.
Dude's just a soldier, and the fact that he's a Pro Bowl alternate is insane, but I say over.
Cats take us home, and that's why I'm not even talking Pro Bowls because I'm discussing it. It's not important. The NFL does a terrible job in determining who makes the Pro Bowl and who doesn't. Yep. So,
they did one thing right, though, Tones, in this Pro Bowl. You know what they got right? There's only one NFC team that had – there should be more than one, but there's one NFC team that had 0, and that's the Saints. I don't know if you heard that. I was surprised, actually, that they were the only NFC team. I mean, the Giants must have a Pro Bowler. Who the hell is the Giants Pro Bowler?
Malik Neighbors, I'm guessing, maybe.
Okay. Well, he deserves it. He's deserving. There's no, I mean, he's a deserving player. He's had a great rookie year. But yeah, the Saints, I read, were the only team without a Pro Bowler. How about that? Wow. But I thought Mickey Loomis never puts out a bad roster. I know injuries, but we've got injuries too.
Yes, we do. Mickey Loomis, he's done some interesting things.
Ball.
He is a sleazeball. We got the Godfather in the house. Happy New Year, men. Happy New Year. Oh, Buckin says Dexter Lawrence was their only. So Malik Neighbors. Lawrence is a good player, but to me, that's where the Pro Bowl's broke, and you got a guy like Malik Neighbors who should have made it, and he didn't. So,
the NFC is loaded with receivers, so that's probably why it's more of a numbers game than anything. Lawrence is a good player. That's fair.
Take us home. Jordan Whitehead over under 5.5 tackles.
I'll go over on that. Just a gut feeling he'll have a little bit more than that. I'll go over.
Hopefully you guys listen to us, make some money, butter your bread with the Bucs this weekend. BBB, no pun intended there. Now we're going to get to our score predictions and player of the game. Cats, we're going to start with you here. Bucs score prediction and your player of the game for this one, my friend.
Bucs win 38-17. I'm going to go with Mike Evans.
Mike, I love this. Could be a glorious day. Not only could the Bucs clinch the playoffs, but we could also see the Saints lose, and we could also see Mike Evans breaking records, making history. Joey, score prediction and your Bucs player of the game here.
Yeah, like I said last week about deadbeat Canales and Midget Young, I'm not going to take it easy on the Saints. I won't say the first part of their name because I truly feel very bad. Shout out, condolences, everything going on. But the Saints themselves, I'm not going to take it easy on. I'm going to go Bucs 34, Saints 13. And I'm trying to see, okay, I know Evans needed his record. I was seeing if anybody else was close to anything. Bucky's already over 1,000. Levante's already over 100 tackles.
Evans could get a $3 million incentive if he reaches the 1,000-yard mark as well.
You know who I'm going to go with, and because I'm pretty sure he's playing, and he proved me wrong. You know, we had a player on our teams that we were a little skeptical, and they showed out. That's Mr. K-Dot, and the guy's got 59 receptions for 600 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I feel like he's become more of a reliable tight end. Maybe the stats don't glare out to a lot of people, but my thing with tight ends is they got to be reliable people when you need them most, when you need that first down, when you need that 7 to 8 yards. And I feel like K-Dot, and more times than not, has come through a lot this year when the Bucs have needed him to. So maybe the stats don't fully impress everybody, but trust me, this dude has improved, and he's only going to get better. Give me K-Dot and for a touchdown.
We don't know if he's playing, though. I hope he plays. That'd be great.
I thought I could be wrong on that. If he is, I'll just change over to Baker.
All right.
I think the game time decision is how they're designating it, I believe.
Yep, you're right on that game time decision. So we'll give Joey.
I agree with your take, though. He's proved me wrong, too. I was not that high on Cade coming into this year. He's grown a lot. As a blocker, too. He's been a heck of a blocker and as a receiver.
I mean, if he stayed healthy the entire year, he'd probably.
How many games did he miss?
He's missed 2.5 now. So he'd probably be at about 750 receiving yards, about 6 touchdowns, about 70 plus catches if he didn't miss any game. I mean, that's part of the game, sadly, injuries, but you know, he'd be having a pretty damn good season. Yes, he's doubtful, but Todd Bowles did say today that he is holding out hope and he'll be.
And like I said, I'll go Baker then. If not, I thought Baker, that was a really clean game. I think he could do that again this week, play clean football.
Mr. J-Lo, score prediction and player of the game.
I say Bucs 42, Saints 13. I think they blow them out of the water because it's a very bad beat-up Saints team. And my MVP, give me Jalen McMillan. This kid has really come on as a number 2 receiver. I think he's going to have 2 tutties. I think Mike gets 1,000 yards. You know, it's just going to be a great day in Tampa Bay on Sunday. Division champs for a 4th year in a row, and then 5 years in a row in the playoffs, which I don't think the Bucs have ever done. So let's go.
Yeah, give me 37-23 Bucks, and give me my player of the game. I think he's going to have a big one. We're talking about the impact Shaq Barrett's making. I think JTS gets a couple, 1.5 sacks. I think he hits the QB a little bit here. I think he's going to step up big time in this one and help the Bucks punch their ticket into the playoffs. Buckin says J-Max rookie year feels similar to Godwin's. Yep, Godwin came on really heavily in the second half. Godfather, Bucks 24-17. Richard says serious. He thinks they can lay an egg. You never know against the Saints, right? But and some people are comparing it to the Cowboys game, but we'll put our stamp of approval on it like this. Cowboys had some dignity left. It looks like the Saints packed it in.
Cowboys have been playing well. Had been playing. They'd won 4 out of 5 coming into that game, and the only loss was the one where the guy touched the block punt. So they should have had a 5-game winning streak. I'm not saying we should have lost to them, but they were playing some good football. In fairness to Dallas.
No, they really were, and I always said the Bucs would lose one of those two, either at the Chargers or at the Cowboys. But when you win that first one, you get a little hungry. But what can you do? I mean, that was a tough stretch for sure. Speaking of tough stretch, Joey, sorry about your Colts. Update us on Indianapolis World, the buzz around the Colts for the shoe. Probably a little bit of a Debbie Downer week there in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm going to try to use my words wisely in the best way I want to describe this, because I could be booted from the show if I've truly got every word out there as I want to.
Well, I got the mute button on standby.
Yeah, it's really effing embarrassing. Really embarrassing. When you're a fan of a franchise for as long as me, who started from before Peyton Manning's rookie year, then you get Peyton Manning, you get a lot of greatness. Andrew Luck comes right after. You get more greatness, maybe not a Super Bowl, but we made AFC Championship, okay? A little bit of a tangent here. Chris Ballard comes in 2017. He is a great human being. He fosters adopted children. He helps out a lot in the community. He's a great, great person. But when J-Lo mentioned 4 straight NFC titles potentially, the Colts have not won the AFC South, who consists of Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Houston. We have not won the AFC South since 2014. It is now 2025. That is 10 seasons worth of football of not winning what people usually make fun of, the AFC South. Has it gotten better? Yes. But when you go through all these changes in quarterbacks, and I know it happens to a lot of teams, but when you don't build good rosters, you cannot change your quarterbacks all the time. And we saw it happen to the Colts this season. We saw their locker room blow up from the inside out over Anthony Richardson, who has played less than 50% of his NFL games. He also has had other issues in the department of, is he fully there all the time and whatnot. I'm still an AR fan, so I'm not going to put it on a guy who's only been in the locker room 2 years. But Chris Ballard, it is time to go. I am usually a loyalist. I usually never back away, even when things are at their worst. I think when the going gets tough, you got to get tougher. Bottom line is, fire this motherfucker on Monday and get a new general manager. We need to bring the winning culture back to Indianapolis. You guys had Tom Brady and now Baker. I know you had a lot of losing, but now you have winning. You would hate to start going back the other way around, but you won't, because you have a culture and a GM and an organization that knows how to continue to develop and build locker rooms. I thought the Bucs could be an older team coming in this year. You looked it up. They were the youngest team, I think, in the NFL, at least the NFC. It does not matter how old you are. It does not matter how nice of a guy you are. You have to get talent in your locker room. And since we have not won the NFC South in 10 years, we've won 1 playoff game since 2018, and we lost to the New York Giants, who fans were actually pissed off because they went from pick number 1 to now pick number 4 and don't even have a choice at this shitty quarterback class that they think is going to solve their future. So I'm absolutely fed up. I'm absolutely heartbroken, because I am not one that usually gets mad at my team, but it's been enough time. I've talked enough on it. I'm just very upset, and there needs to be change.
You know what's funny?
What is the definition of insanity? And that's what I'm ending on, is doing the same thing over and over again. We have to stop.
You know what's funny? I told my brother a couple days ago the Colts should hire Spytek or Mike Greenberg as GM. Now Buckin says, please don't steal Mike Greenberg or John Spytek from us. Those two are incredible, and I think could turn the Colts program around in a hurry. But Cats, J-Lo, and I know this best. It starts at the top with culture. Jason Light came here. He didn't hire Lovie Smith. His first hire was Dirk Cutter, which he got pressure from the fans and the uppers to promote Dirk Cutter and to fire Lovie Smith. His first real hire was Bruce Arians, which eventually changed the entire culture of the team around because Bruce Arians signed guys like Ndamukong Suh, and then Tom Brady comes. We get guys like Gronk, and this franchise has changed forever. And I mean that. We'll never be the Yucks again. That was a huge culture change. I think the Colts need that too. Joey, I know it's quote-unquote meaningless, but give us your score prediction for Joe Flacco against Mac Jones in Week 18.
You know what? This is the perfect game for us to lose. And I don't usually believe in improving draft or any stock position, but this team is truly playing for nothing. We're playing a 39-year-old Joe Flacco. We're just falling apart here, and this, sure enough, will win because we're eliminated and nothing matters. So I think we probably win this game ugly. Nobody wants to watch Mac Jones versus Joe Flacco. It'll probably be Colts 24, Jacksonville 17. And like I said, the last thing I'll say on it is that this is I'm one of those people that stick in things through and through. I do not, when things are going tough, I stay positive. I keep going, but can't take it anymore. It's sad for that to be this way, but here we are. So 24-17, and my player of the game will be, even though he makes boneheaded plays, Jonathan Taylor has had another good season. He's had over 1,200 rushing yards, missing a couple of games. So I would just give him the MVP and give him the ball 40 times.
Yeah, I think I like where your head's at. Rock says Bruce Arians and Jason Light go way back, though. Jason, that's literally what we just said. Jason Light came. He hired Bruce Arians as the first coach, and that changed the culture. I'm not sure if you missed the past couple minutes or not. Cats, if you don't got a score prediction for us, just give us your thoughts on the Colts and how their season ended.
Yeah, it's surprising. I didn't necessarily think the Colts would be, a playoff team. I figured they would be on the fringe, but yeah, losing to the Giants was stunning because they seem like the Colts are kind of, winning a few, losing a few. They had a tough loss in Denver where, he dropped the ball before the goal line, but they were in that game. It's a surprise. I don't know about the coach, Shane Steichen, if he'll keep his job. I remember he was a good coordinator with the Eagles. That type of game last week's the type of game that gets you fired.
And one thing, Cats, I want you to keep going, but I want to tell you one quote he said, and I've never heard it before, and I'm a Steichen fan because I think he should get one more chance because he's been 1-1, one good year, one bad year. He said the other day when somebody was asked, our players, because McAfee put the team on blast, but he goes, are players late to meetings? And he goes, listen, players are going to be late. That's going to happen. Who the fuck says that?
You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't let it happen.
Where is accountability?
He let the locker room get tainted, and that's,
But go on, I'm sorry.
That lies on his shoulders. But Cats, closing thoughts on the Colts before we get to J-Lo.
I actually picked them in my work pool to lose this game. Just figure they'd have a hangover from losing to the Giants, and the Jaguars have kind of played reasonably well ever since that. Were they 0-8 or something? They've won a couple here. They played hard, so I picked the Jags. I think it'll be like 16-13 or something like that.
And as Joey said, hard to disagree with you at this point. Yeah, sadly, absolutely. Ernie says when the Bucs changed uniforms in '96, they got good under Dungy. The Bucs changed in 2020 when Brady came here as well. J-Lo, give us your thoughts on the Colts as you're a Florida guy, and their big piece of the franchise is from Florida.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate with AR-15. I think what happened to him, this back, is very horrid. The man was playing pretty damn good football, inspiring football when he came back from the injury the first time. I just feel like they need some change. I think general manager is first thing off the bat. And depending what the new general manager wants to do with the head coach or Steichen. It's up to him. I think he deserves another year, at least one more year. Usually, I always think you give a coach 3 years, no matter how bad the team is.
The hard part is, though, not to cut you off, you bring in a new GM, anything goes. I mean, that's the hard part. So, I like AR, he's injured like every body part now, and the coach said some interesting things. So, if we do bring in a new GM, does he like everything under it? I'll shut up.
No, I hear you, Joe. You made some sense of it. To me, if you hire a new general manager, anything could happen. He could fire the head coach, bring his own guy in. It all depends. I just think that a new cultural change is due for the Colts. I think they got some pretty good pieces and players. It's just health-wise, man. Everybody gets hurt. Michael Pittman Jr. gets hurt. And then plus the running back Taylor, he gets hurt too. I mean, it happens. But at the end of the day, I see the Colts go out strong, get a strong finishing win for the fans to give them some kind of faith going to next year with some of these players. But at the most part, they do need.
Everyone is so quick. We have a comment on Liam Cohen. BB King says Liam is smart. Why leave Tampa? Eventually replace Todd. Everyone's so quick on Liam Cohen to leave Tampa. I don't think it's that cut and dry. Back that brings up the Bucs place to keep Liam. Hey, Ben Johnson stayed in Detroit by giving him a pay raise too. Real quick, I'll wrap up the Colts talk because we got a ton to get to. We're burning fire here. I will take the Colts to win this one with Joe Flacco in an ugly fashion. Give me 21-20 in a crazy end game to the season for both of these teams where a lot of bullshit happens. And player of the game, I'll go with the rookie Latu because why the hell not? I think he could earn some keep in that one. Speaking of earning keep, we're going to try to earn some keep when we give our breadwinners here in a little bit, but some coaches need to earn their keep. We're going to play a little game. Joey, how many head coaching openings do you think there become eventually? The Jets is open already. The Saints is open already. The Bears is open already. There's going to be a lot of head coach openings come this time next week.
Okay, so that's 3, Jacksonville 4, Vegas 5. I'll
could
say
be Giants, could be Pats.
I'm going to say between Dallas and Giants, one of those go. So 6. Am I missing anybody else obvious?
It depends. I mean, it's all a guessing game. I'm going to go with
7. I'm going to go 7 total. 7.
I'm going to go with 8. Cats, if you could choose, how many head coach openings do you think there are at this time next week?
Oh boy. I would say I would go with 7 as well. I mean, questionable in New England, questionable with the Giants. I think the Giants had said they were leaning on keeping him, but who the hell knows? I'll go with 7.
Does a team like the Bengals move on if they don't make the playoffs from Zach?
I don't think the Bengals will move on. The reason I don't think they will is because, he's an offensive-minded coach, and they have a great offense. And I think, despite a little sideline spat, I think he and Joe Burrow have a good relationship. So I think they'll fire the defensive staff.
They'll scapegoat the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and they'll keep him, and obviously at that point, that's what I would expect with Cincy.
I think I agree with you there. J-Lo, we're getting 7, we're getting 8. Thoughts on your head coach openings heading into next year?
I say about 8. Let's not forget the Cleveland Browns as well. They're not having a great year as well. It's another name to look out for because obviously the coach they got there is not getting it done with Deshaun Watson. Even though I think Watson wasn't really that good to begin with, but that's a whole other conversation. But I think Dallas will cut loose with McCarthy. I just don't see them getting any further with him. Giants, I think, will fire their coach as well. There's going to be a big turnover. So I say 8 jobs in total. Because I think the Browns are going to be another team to watch out for. They might fire their coach and go get it.
I could see it. Browns have struggled the past couple of years now. They put all their lives on the line for Deshaun Watson. It could be sticky. Jets GM job open right now, too. They're interviewing some fun names. They got Ron Rivera coming to town, Mike Vrabel. Rex Ryan's been rumored for their head coach, and so much more. Liam Cohen's going to be a hot commodity. I personally don't think he goes anywhere, but we will see how that ends up. Speaking of ends up, We know how the college Final Four ends up. We got Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. To me, these are 4 behemoth teams, Mr. J-Lo. Thoughts on the college football Final Four in their first year ever of 12 teams making the playoffs?
I must say I've enjoyed the playoff format with all these teams battling it out. I was really rooting for Arizona State, man. They almost had it, but it is what it is. Ohio State, they deserve it. I mean, they took care of business at home and they beat the crap out of Oregon to get revenge. I love, y'all two are gonna have a divided household when that game comes. Penn State, Notre Dame, 2 teams.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be a fun game. I mean, that's gonna be a very fun game to watch. I'm very happy for both of y'all that your team have made this far. Knocking off Georgia, who to me is not what they used to be. And then Boise State, just not ready for that big level of competition.
Cats, have you watched much of the college football playoffs? Puckhead said SEC showed their true colors. This is what it's like, college football in 2024. I hate all this NIL shuffling and crap, but it certainly evens the playing field in terms of talent. And I think the SEC takes a step back. But Kat, thoughts on the playoffs or the Final Four? Have you watched any or a lot?
I honestly have not watched much, but I do know that the format, I do like the format that you mentioned. That I do like, but I have not watched a ton of it. No.
I think 4 was way too. You had like 150 college teams, and they were having a 4-team playoff. At least 12, makes it more interesting and fair. As speaking of interesting, Puckhead says Brown like her socks, so we'll see what he's doing with his brown socks. Richard says is Cam Scattaboo the next L-Stott. He's been a beast on Arizona State. I hated to see his season end. But Joey, your thoughts on the playoffs thus far and your Irish making it to the Final Four?
Yeah, I absolutely love the format. And for the people who have said, there's been a lot of blowouts, guess what? Sometimes that just naturally happens. But what are we doing? We're quieting down the people who say, my team should have made it, my team. Listen, if you can't make it in the top 12, I'm sorry. You probably don't deserve to be there. These college kids, even though they get NILs, they do have a school calendar to follow by. They can't play forever. You can't carry this thing to 16 or 32 teams, whatever crazy people out there want to do. I think we're at the perfect number. Maybe if they went to 16,
I think it gets to 16 only for the almighty dollar.
Probably for the almighty dollar, but I do like the 12. Only thing I would change is the 4 bye week teams. Actually, all the teams lost that got a bye week, which was interesting to me because during the Peyton Manning days, when he would get more time off, he would take them out of a little funk and the Colts would lose sometimes. So I necessarily don't always think this extra time helps. So that's interesting to me, but I love the 12-team format, yes.
Yeah, and, it is a little bit like the NFL, right? Like right now you see the Bucs and the Rams, they're going to get a quote-unquote better seed than the Lions or Vikings who have 14 wins. So, I do think the seeding is fine. You need a little bit of parameters, in my opinion. I'm cool with that, but yeah, I like the 12-team. I think it's perfect. I do think they expand to 16 for the almighty dollar. I'm really excited for Notre Dame, Penn State. I think both teams have had great seasons. We knew when the playoffs expanded to 12 that both Notre Dame and Penn State would be prime playoff contenders year in and year out because they were always right around the 6 to 15 range in terms of rankings, and now you're seeing it come to fruition. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Eller and Leonard are 2 quarterbacks who fight their tails off. Franklin and Freeman. A lot of people hated on Franklin and Freeman coming into this year, saying they couldn't win big games. Now both have won 2 very big games. We'll see who could win the biggest game of all next Thursday. And then Friday comes Texas, Ohio State. Pop says he thinks they go 16 for money purposes. He texted into the show. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of we'll see what happens, though, we will be back on Tuesday, kind of in our normal quote-unquote time slot now that the holidays are done and whatnot. And we're still going to have playoff giveaways and so much more. We did 1 or 2 so far on Twitter. Be on the lookout at BUCCATEERS on Twitter for more giveaways in the near future. Speaking of future, one game isn't in the future. That's the First Responders Bowl that's happening right now. with North Texas and Texas State, 23-14 with about 14.5 to go in this one. Texas State with the lead with the ball at about the 50-yard line. These two teams are fun and really underrated, and we get a couple more bowl games left as bowl season is winding down. Quick thoughts, J-Lo, on bowl season in 30 seconds or less. Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah, there's been a lot of entertaining games. Alabama-Michigan game was really good. I enjoyed watching that when I had time.
At Raymond James.
Yep, at Ray J. I mean, it was packing that day. But yeah, it's been a lot of good games I enjoyed, especially also South Carolina, Illinois, the brawl with the two head coaches. That was pretty extreme. Brett Bielema ain't no little guy. He's a big dude. So, but anyway,
He sure is.
I've enjoyed it for the most part.
Joey, what say you on bowl season?
I mean, people could say, the playoffs water it down, but I tell you what, I have a lot of friends who take off from before Christmas through New Year, and this is the only time of the year they get to take a break, and boy, do they love waking up and seeing football, college games on, the Cheez-It Bowl, the Mayo Bowl, the Barstool Bowl, whatever, the Pop-Tarts popping out of the oven bowl, whatever the hell's happening from 11 through all the night. People love it, and guess what? With gambling, everything's better for the average fan out there, so I'm all about it.
Cats, any thoughts on college football bowl games before we move on to our Red Eyes Pick'em?
Yeah, I mean, even though I haven't watched a ton of it, it's good to have, especially for, like you said, for people who gamble, casual football fans. It gives you something to watch. Even if you're not that interested in it, it can hold your attention. You never know. You might be not thinking you're interested. You get a great game, and you're like, oh, and then you're ingratiated, tuned into it. So it's a good thing.
I agree with you there, and we're going to get to our breadwinner shortly. By the way, we went 4-4 last week. We're 41-31 plus $135 on the season. Mr. H loves the Bulls. I do as well. I think they are awesome. Godfather says his toilet is his favorite bowl, so hopefully he's not eating too much meat and cheese over there. That might lead to a stinky one. And Red Eyes Pick'em is incoming. But congrats to Puckhead on his Nebraska win. Congrats to J-Lo on his Florida win. Penn State and Notre Dame, a couple wins as well. All of our teams are killing the bowl season. Time for Red Eyes Pick'em as we near the end, but we're not at the end yet. So let's get going. We're going to incorporate college football, couple bowl games left on the slate into this as well. So here it is, college football and NFL combined, Red Eyes Pick'em. Tonight, J-Lo, you're going to start us off. Tonight we do have a bowl game, Minnesota, Virginia Tech, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Who do you got in that one? Battle of the Big Ten and ACC, 7:30 Eastern kickoff, Mr. J-Lo.
I'll take Minnesota. I like Minnesota, and I like their head coach. Give me Minnesota.
I will take the next game. It's Bahamas Bowl tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, Buffalo, Liberty. Give me Buffalo. They had a fun end of their year. Liberty kind of struggled to end the year. So to end bowl season with the Bahamas Bowl, give me Buffalo. And we have a lot of football tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern's that game. Then we turn focus to a couple NFL games. Cats, 4:30 Eastern, Browns at Ravens. Browns trying to play spoiler. Who you got in that one with Bailey Zapp under center for Cleveland?
Ravens, quite, and it will not. I don't believe this will be close. The Ravens by a bunch.
Joey, Bengals Steelers, 8 o'clock Eastern. Bengals actually favored.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the spread was 20 in Ravens Browns. I know the Browns are bad, but 20 is. Anyways, I'm going to take the Bengals. They're hot and the Steelers are not. I think the Bengals outscore Pittsburgh in a high scoring affair.
Mr. J-Lo, 1 o'clock Eastern Sunday. Houston travels to Tennessee in a meaningless one for Houston.
I say Houston still. Tennessee's just a bad football team. Houston, even with their backups, should take care of Tennessee.
All righty, pivoting now to myself. I get Buffalo, New England. These games are hard to tell. If Drake May plays, give me New England, I guess. I don't really know how much Buffalo starters we'll see. It's in Foxborough. If Drake May plays, I take the Patriots. If he doesn't, give me Buffalo. Mr. Katz, you get a rivalry here. Giants-Eagles, 1 o'clock Eastern.
I know the Eagles are resting people, but still give me the Eagles in this one.
That's so sad. That's why the Colts loss is even. I'm sorry. Go on.
And one interesting thing was, well, we'll get into that. But, yeah, pretty much Giants resting guys. We have an interesting rest scenario to talk about with the Seahawks-Rams coming up. But, yeah, give me Tanner McKee and the guy. McKee played a hell of a game for the Eagles in limited fashion last week, their third-string QB. So I like your call there, Cats. Joey, Bears-Packers, heated rivalry, 1 o'clock Eastern, Lambeau Field. They're playing for seeding. If Packers win and Redskins lose, Packers are the 6th seed.
Yeah, and if that's the case, Packers by 1 million.
J-Lo, next to you, my friend. Carolina, Atlanta. We need the Panthers and Dave Canales to play some upset ball. If Panthers win or tie, Bucks clinch regardless, J-Lo.
We don't need it, though. I'm interjecting
we
that.
don't need it, but I still think Davey Boy and the Panthers are going to go into Atlanta, play spoiler, and eliminate Atlanta officially out of the playoffs.
I agree with you fellas. I don't think we'll need it, but I still think that this game ends up helping the Bucks in a big, weird way. Give me Atlanta to play spoiler alert there. Cats, now to you. Commandos, Dallas. This one is relevant because if Commanders win, they clinch a 6th seed. If they lose, they could fall to the 7th.
Yeah. I like the Commanders in this one. I know they lost the earlier meeting. It was kind of a fluky kind of game they lost, but this one I like Washington to take this one.
We are joined by El Monito on Facebook. He is awesome. Jason Roach, the Godfather, and many more are joining us as well. J-Lo, Chiefs Broncos, 4:25 Eastern.
I mean, meaningless. For the Chiefs. So I say Broncos. They'll take care of business and take that final wild card spot.
Joey, Seahawks, Rams, 4:25 Eastern. Not a meaningless game for the Rams, but they're treating it as such. Jimmy Garoppolo starting. You're not going to see Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, or Puka Nacua. But if the Rams lose and Bucks win, Bucks become the 3 seed, Joey. Who you got? Seattle at Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I can't stress it enough. I mean, the loser of Detroit, Minnesota is obviously the 5 seed. I could see if we were in a year where there's a bunch of even teams there, but you're literally not trying to play for, to me, the better seed. That's kind of an embarrassing effort. Give me Seattle.
And no offense, the Rams offense hasn't really been killing it either lately. So, you might be disrupting some, I don't know, but I agree.
I get it because Stafford's a banged up guy, but guess what? If he's healthy and Minnesota goes in there, that Minnesota defense and Flores is going to blitz him until he's not healthy anymore. So, I mean, that's just one scenario. I just don't like it. Smells bad.
Agreed. Cats, speaking of smelling bad, this game smells a little wonky because it's kind of irrelevant. 4:25 Eastern, Chargers, Raiders. Well, irrelevant for playoffs. Draft order, a lot of these games do matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it doesn't matter for the Chargers. The Raiders have won their last 2, but give me the Chargers in this one.
J-Lo, Dolphins, Jets. Dolphins hope to keep their playoff hopes alive. 4:25 Eastern.
I think Jets play spoiler and upset the Dolphins and knock them out and eliminate them from playoff contention as well. Even though I said Denver was going to win, but Jets will make it official.
4:25 Eastern. Give me the Cardinals in Arizona over San Fran with Josh Dobbs under helm. They got a lot of injuries going on over there. Joey, we're all going to do this one before we get to our breadwinners and final words since it's such a big game for the 1 seed in the NFC, Joey. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 Eastern. Vikings at Lions. My, oh my.
Yeah, it's easily the best, toughest game to pick for many reasons. I mean, Detroit is very banged up. It's so funny when they not funny, but when they show their injury report, though, it literally looks like they're showing the defensive depth chart because it's like 4 D linemen, 3 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. But Dan Campbell's going to have anybody to play at any given time. Now, Minnesota, man, Sam Darnold, you look at his stats, he's going to be looking for that payday. I love their culture. I don't know if anybody's seen the locker room after, but they literally hoisted him up. Like, it reminded me of the movie Rudy when they hoisted him up. They just had, and you don't see that in NFL locker rooms very often. That's more of a college, high school thing. I just think Minnesota has it fully rolling. Kevin O'Connell is just as good a coach as Dan Campbell, and probably better from the X's and O's, to be quite frank. I'm going to take Minnesota in the close game. Give me the Vikings to get the 1 seed.
Cats, Vikings, Lions, Sunday Night Football battle for the 1 seed.
I like Minnesota as well. If Detroit were remotely healthy, I would go with the Lions, especially at home. But Minnesota's the healthier team. They're playing extraordinarily well. Even the earlier meeting this season in Minnesota came down to a late field goal. The Vikings was a great game, went back and forth. Detroit won that one, but I like Minnesota in this one.
J-Lo, Lions, Vikings, what say you?
So here's the question. Is Minnesota really ready? Is Sam Darnold ready for that bigger stage? And because it's in Detroit, even though it was a banged-up defense, I say Detroit surprises people and wins at home, gets them the 1 seed, shocks the world with, just Jared Goff and that offense against, really good defense in Minnesota. But I feel like because the Lions are at home and how well they have played with injuries, I say Detroit wins and they'll get the bye week.
Joey, I'm sorry, I screwed up. We're 43-33 because we went 4-4. We went 2-2 and 2-2, so we're 43-33 on the year in breadwinners plus 134. Give me the Lions though in Sunday Night Football before we get to breadwinners. No particular reason. JT Olson from Bucs Report joining us. Thank you to a great Bucs contributor saying yo 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 and joining in the show. We appreciate it. But 43-33 plus $134 on the year in breadwinners. To recap last week's, we had couple interesting ones. We had double deckers. We had some good hits like Lions, Penn State money line parlay. We had some Iowa State money line action. So some good stuff there. Before we get to our final word and bold college or NFL predictions for the weekend, breadwinner time. Jayla, where you heading in the world of bread winning that money for our lucky viewers? Who you taking? Who's your bet of the weekend?
So you can never go wrong betting with the Lightning. Give me the Lightning against the LA Kings tomorrow night. I think the Lightning will.
They're in Los Angeles, correct?
Yes. They had a tough loss last night, but I think they'll make a comeback and go up into LA Kings and beat them in their house because I think that Kings are favored to win. So give me the Lightning.
They are, and if the Lightning win 20, would give you $22. So how about that? J-Lo almost had the immaculate Arizona State money line, which would have paid us $85 last week. So we'll see how the Lightning do as underdogs. Cats, could be any sport. If you had one bet of the weekend, where are you headed?
Well, I wouldn't go on the spread because it's so big, but the Ravens to beat the Browns.
I like that a lot. We'll give you Ravens there to beat the Browns. Joey, what say you? Money line, any sport, any day from this weekend.
Yeah, week 18, really, I love it, but it's just so hard to predict. That's why I just try to look at the games where both teams are at least starting all their people and trying. So that's why I'm going to go with Minnesota. In the biggest game of the season. And to J-Lo, I don't think, you picked Detroit. I don't see it as, if they win, I won't be shocked or surprised at all. Detroit's deserved it all year. They are very banged up, like we all said, but these are two teams that deserve to be where they are. Somebody has to come out on top, and I'm just going to go with Minnesota. I'll take the 2.5 points. I'll take the spread.
Give me the Buffalo Bulls in the Bahamas Bowl tomorrow. Money line, $20 would win you 14 in that one. So we got a little bit of everything on our platter, right? We got hockey. We got a couple NFL games. We got the last bowl game of the season as well. So a lot of fun stuff. Once again, I have Buffalo in the bowl game, 20 to win 14. Joey is Vikings plus 3.5. Cats has Ravens money line, 20 to win 2. And J-Lo has the Lightning, 20 to win 22. Let's get some fucking bread, fellas. And by the way, I still have to get your guys' shirts out, so don't be panicking if you haven't gotten them yet. I've just been behind. I will get those out this weekend, though. I assure you all that. Joey, give us your final word and a bold prediction for either one of the last bowl games remaining or the NFL this weekend.
Just happy about the Irish. Obviously, that was a really big win. A lot of people don't believe them to beat SEC teams from history, which is deserved, but they just absolutely kicked Georgia's butt. It's always good to see the Bulldogs lose. So I love that Notre Dame win. I hope they continue to win a championship. If I had to make a bold prediction on the show, I just hate to say this, but something about, even though the Chiefs are playing backups, there's a winning pedigree, obviously, in Kansas City. I'm not saying they're going to beat Denver because it is in the Mile High, but that game's going to come down to the wire, and either Cincinnati or Miami, whoever's in the level up for that, are going to be watching and biting their nails because Carson Wentz will take this to the buzzer. He probably will fail and choke, but I think the Chiefs take the Broncos to the buzzer.
I could hear you there. I could agree with that. Carson Wentz not far removed from being a prolific QB in the NFL. Little update, North Texas fumbles. Texas State recovers, 8 to go. They're up 9 in the first responder bowl. J-Lo, final thoughts, bold prediction, if any?
Yes, final thought. Good jumping with you guys. Great way to start the year on the first podcast, 225 for Buccateers. Can't wait for those big games coming up. It's going to be fun to watch. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy some royal ass kicking by the Bucs to the Saints on Sunday. Y'all fellas take care, man. Have a good night. Gotta go.
Have a good one, Mr. J-Lo. Cats, final thoughts, bold predictions, and then I'll wrap us up.
I don't have any bold predictions. Final thoughts, Bucs fans, enjoy this. We're going to be NFC South champs for the 4th time in a row. We've never done that. We've never made the playoffs 5 times in a row. We're going to do that now. We get to kick the Saints' ass in the process. This offense is fun to watch. And Happy New Year, everyone. I do have to check out as well, but it's been a pleasure, guys. Go Bucs, as always.
Been a pleasure talking to you. Before we get out of here, go Bucs, fire the damn cannons. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Devin Culp, bold prediction. Devin Culp scores his first career touchdown this Sunday. The rookie tight end from
I love his size. He's just
Same
a
here.
big specimen.
7th round pick, and he moves like a fucking freight train, and he's the size of a trampoline. So I love that kid, man. And he's from the Washington tree that we pluck from as well. My final word is enjoy these last couple of bowl games. Enjoy this last regular season of football. We don't have much football left on the docket. Sadly, it will be the off season before you know it. And once again, God bless the people of New Orleans and those throughout the USA affected by this crazy shit happening all over the place. But guys, it's been Cats, J-Lo, Tampa Tones, and Joey Nips on a Saturday Showdown weekend of football kickoff show on a Friday. We'll see you guys next time. God bless. Peace out. Everybody remain safe. We'll see you guys real soon here on the Buccateers. Tuesday, in fact. Peace. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second. until that gets a little cleared.